The Rifter is probably one of the most iconic vessels in the EVE universe. That's a title that is really well earned. There are a lot of readily identifiable ships in EVE Online, but there's just something about the Rifter that stands out and has almost made it a poster boy for the entire universe. Certainly here in EVE Online, it's used as the fitting icon, it's a popular ship with pirates and PvE players alike, it's cheap, it's versatile, and yeah, you just kind of see it everywhere. It's fitting then that CCP have recently taken it upon themselves to completely redesign the Rifter, and oh boy, it is absolutely beautiful. Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie, and in today's EVE Online video we're going to be taking a little look at the Rifter, the Jaguar and the Wolf just to see how these have been redesigned and talk a little bit about why these are so very special. If you do enjoy EVE Online content, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel, hit like on this video, that helps me with metrics to know what people are enjoying and what you want to see more of, and comment down below as well, before if you really want to help the channel, come along and support me on Patreon. Anyway, all that said and done then, let's talk about the Rifter. Here it is in all its glory. I'm actually not really skilled into the Rifter, and that is something I am currently rectifying. If you look at my skill training here, you can see I've started to go back into small projectile turrets in order to beef this thing up a little bit. Ultimately, I'm usually missiles and drones, but now that I'm getting pretty hefty on those, I'm happy to go back and start working on these as well. And though the missiles do kind of help, as we'll see later. Now, as I've mentioned before, the Rifter is an incredibly iconic ship. That split twin hull design is featured prominently in EVE Online and EVE Echoes, and amongst other like EVE products as well within the marketing. That split hull design with the broad wings at the back is instantly recognizable as the Rifter silhouette. In the backstory, it is an incredibly popular frigate with Minmatar pilots because it's so cheap and versatile. It works well for piracy, it works well for mission running at low levels, and it's just pretty good as well for kind of anything. It's a good all-rounder ship. But let's have an actual look at the update to the hull here, because this is now just stunning. If we look at these sort of, I don't really want to call them inlets, but here on the front we've got a lot more texture and detail to those. Kind of this ribbing along the top here where the cannons and that all sit, all the different sponsons. Here on the side, we actually finally can properly see the RIF-7ER designation on the side at the front of the hull here. The Minmatar logo partway down it as well. And just so much more graphical fidelity and detail. It's a little bit more angular, it's slightly thinner, and it has that typical Minmatar almost uncovered aesthetic to the rear ends of the poles here. A lot more sort of radar sensors and stuff around on it. I just absolutely adore how this looks. It was one of my favorite looking ships in general anyway, but now it is just truly special. Now, to actually use this in combat as well, if we open up the fitting menu, you'll see this one isn't really fit. It's just one that I've kind of had sitting around, and it's not really doing much. We have 3 high slots here, all of which can be turrets, or 2 of them can be launchers. We then have 3 mid slots and 4 low slots. This is a really versatile layout for a frigate. You can fit 3 turrets in the high slots, you can go for missiles, but of course the Rifter itself is spec'd for small projectile turrets. If we go in and have a look at its ability here under where we are, traits. For each level of Minmatar frigate, you're getting an additional 7.5% bonus to small projectile turret rate of fire, and a 10% bonus to the turret fall-off. This is primarily an autocannon frigate, but you can kind of use the longer-ranged artillery as well on this. Most people tend to go for the autocannons, the close-range rapid-firing stuff, to get the real benefit out of that small projectile turret rate of fire. As I said, very popular with PvPers because it is a cheap ship to buy, it is cheap to fit, and with how projectile cannon ammunition works, you can get an awful lot of versatility out of that. On the subject of versatility, 3 mid slots and 4 lows also gives us a decent amount to play with there. Now, for PvP, because you're going to want some tackle modules in there, those tend to be mid slot modules, so you're kind of looking at most people going towards more of an armor tank feel, but absolutely, I have seen plenty of shield tanked Rifters, and that is an absolutely viable way to go with it. What's really cool as well is that with this graphical update, it hasn't just, just done that and then everything else has been undone. All of the skins and things that you may have had from before, like I've got the semiotic superliminal here, this also still works. Obviously, it's just, a skin that goes over the underlying chassis, and you can get some really pretty skins for this. I like the tiger stripes on this one and just how shiny and reflective it is. A lot of really cool stuff going on here with the Rifter. Let's jump back in and have a look at some of the others as well. Obviously, I don't have these, but it's a lot of very cool, versatile skins for this. Again, very popular ship, so it's natural that it would have a lot of different customization options so that everyone gets that feeling of being unique whilst out and about in it. And again, it's such a cool looking ship, why would you not want to? The Rifter itself, though, is just the beginning. As with a lot of different hulls in EVE, the Rifter is the basic hull, and there are a couple of variations on it. If we jump into the ship tree here, and into the Minmatar branch, the Rifter is your Tech 1 attack frigate down here. Nice and easy to get, just train into Minmatar frigate, which you're going to need if you're going to go anywhere else up the Minmatar tree anyway. But if you do happen to take skills into Assault frigate, again something I used to have, but ultimately have skilled out of to go down a more exploratory route, I am coming back into this now that my exploration skills are literally top notch, 5 out of 5 on most of them. I mean, heck, if you take a look, for example, here up at the Cheetah, you'll see it's sitting on Mastery 4 at this point in time. I have been working quite hard to get those, and most of the skills I'm missing now are just some of the really, really niche kind of combat stuff as well in there. But there are 2 assault frigates for the Rifter as well, and the most common one that people will graduate to from the Rifter is of course the Wolf. So let's grab this and make this a little bit bigger so we can see this on screen fully. Because it's not just the Rifter that got a graphical update, so did the Wolf, so did the Jaguar. Now the Rifter obviously uses small projectile cannons, so does the Wolf. This is the projectile cannon variant of the assault frigates, and gone are the days of the weird sort of curved fins at the back of the main hull and onto the broad wingspan. Now we have these much more angular sort of radar panels. Again, the front side, a lot more angularity to it. We can see a bit more detail here into things like the camo effect that's on it here. You can see the logos here all on the side. Absolutely stunning graphical update. And this is, as I said, the cannon version of the assault frigate. If we take a look at its traits here, you can see that similar to the Rifter before it, we've got a 10% small projectile turret fall off, but now we're also getting a 5% bonus to small projectile turret damage. That's from the Assault Frigate skill. The Minmatar Frigate 1 is giving us, again, small projectile turret damage and a 7.5% increase to small projectile turret tracking speed, which is going to really help you lock onto some of the faster targets around you. Roll bonus here, 50% reduction to micro warp drive signature radius penalty, and can fit assault damage controls. It's an assault frigate. These are about getting up into your opponent's face and just punching them really, really hard. And the Wolf excels at this by having that additional tracking. Fall off that means that if you do need to pull a little bit of distance back against a faster moving opponent, for example, you are still getting good damage thanks to the gradual decay in fall off. And just the flat amount of projectile turret damage on this is actually really quite scary, and this thing is a brute. It kicks out a lot of firepower. On the other side of that, we have the Jaguar. Now, the Jaguar is the one that I do actually own a hull of. I was skilled into this. I did take the skills out of Assault Frigate and eventually put that into some of the more exploratory stuff. Once I've got the small cannon skills to where I want them to start with, I will start training the Assault Frigate skills back so that I can be using the Jaguar. Now, why was I using the Jaguar rather than the Wolf? Because the Jaguar is the missile and rocket variant. And again, really cool ship, a lot of cool stuff going on here. I like the sort of snow camo look to this one, and again you can finally see the designation there on the sides at the front of the hull and on the sides of the middle of the hull here. This snow white camo scheme I just think makes it look so pretty, and I love the sort of veined look here, like vein as in weather vane, V-A-N-E-D. to the back of the radar sensors and that there, it is a really unique profile. It's still absolutely 100% a Rifter hull. You can see that. You can still easily tell that it's a Jaguar. They haven't completely overhauled it, like for example how they did with things like the Crucifier in the past, which just looked awful, and that got updated to a completely new body. They have kept the identity of this vessel while giving it a whole ton of new angular Minmatar flavor, and I absolutely adore this. Now, if you're keen on flying one of these, it gets some really cool traits as well. You can see Minmatar frigate bonus, instead of giving us the accuracy fall off and small projectile cannon damage that we had before, we're now looking at the Minmatar frigate bonus, giving us a 5% bonus to light missile and rocket rate of fire, obviously more damage, and a 7.5% bonus to shield booster amount, which is a nice little side thing here. This makes it a really tanky little vessel if you shield tank it. We then have a roll bonus again, that micro warp drive reduction and assault damage control being able to be fitted, and with the assault frigate skill we're looking at a 5% increase to both light missile and rocket explosion velocity, and a 5% bonus to light missile and rocket damage. So again, we're getting a good amount of damage here, attacking the DPS equation from both sides, increasing the damage of your ammunition, whilst also increasing how often you are launching it at your enemy. More damage in less time, which is just a really, really brutish way of doing things. That shield booster as well does just give you a lot more, it gives you a bit more of a direction of how you're going to be fitting this as well. When you're looking at things like the Rifter, again, as I said, it can go shield, it can go armor. The Wolf tends to go a bit more armor and be a bit slower and more sluggish, whereas the Jaguar tends to be much more of a hit-and-run assault vessel. And again, it is a brute, and I really enjoy this. I don't get to PvP, obviously, because I'm part of Signal Cartel, and I don't go for aggressive PvP, but I do like to undock these ships and just run some of like the level 1 agency missions from time to time, just to fly something a little bit different and go around and do stuff like that. And I just love it. And who knows, if maybe one day I end up leaving Signal Cartel, I might go out into Nullsec and, try and make a name for myself as a full-on PvP pirate. I don't know. Maybe you'd like to see that. Let me know in the comment section down below. Now, that's ultimately what I wanted to spend most of today's video talking about. Just looking at the Rifter, looking at the Wolf and the Jaguar, and just how pretty these now are. But I do want to spend a little bit of time here at the end as well, just to say that I know a lot of you have been asking recently, what with Eve Echoes going through, shall we say, its current situation. A lot of people are talking about migrating over to Eve Online. I do have some tutorials out already. I will be adding more to that playlist as time goes on, so please make sure you stick around to the end of the video. You can see the playlist run at the end there, plus I will have it linked in the description of this video. If there's a topic you have questions about, something you want to know about EVE Online, then please let me know. I would love to make some content and help teach you all how to migrate from Echoes into EVE Online and how to have the best time of your life in New Eden. Anyway, folks, that's all for today's video. A little bit different, just basically me waxing lyrical about how much I adore the look of this ship and how well it flies. And I will probably at some point, once those skills are a bit higher, do a full fitting guide for the Rifter and then its variations as well. So let me know what you want to see in the comment section down below. Otherwise, thank you for watching this one right the way through to the end. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.